I'm Tyler Suiters, and you're watching Clean Skies News. Joining me today to talk about the future of the FutureGen Alliance is Mike Mudd. He is CEO of FutureGen. Mike, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm very pleased to be here.
Let's start by talking about the major announcement in June from the Department of Energy. Stephen Chu essentially breathing new life into the alliance. And I want to read a quote to you from him that day saying, "This reflects this administration's commitment to rapidly developing CCS technology as part of a comprehensive plan to create jobs, develop clean energy, reduce climate change pollution." This commitment he's talking about, Mike, more than $1 billion. Is that exactly what FutureGen needed and exactly the right time?
We needed the $1 billion. It's not at the right time. The right time would have been several years back. There's a true sense of urgency for our country to advance CCS, to develop and advance the power plants, the technology, the solutions to make it happen. FutureGen was ready to move forward 3 years ago, but unfortunately with the prior administration it didn't happen. So the timing is better now than never, but by all means we're thrilled that the U.S. government has provided this opportunity to move FutureGen back on track and to move forward.
The former Energy Secretary Sam Bodman was the front man for that in the controversy over the funding for FutureGen. Are you still, to some degree, overcoming that hiccup or roadblock, however you want to term it, and the time that was lost?
There is still some lingering issues. There's skepticism within industry, skepticism within the vendors about the reality of FutureGen. We're trying hard to overcome that skepticism and to show that FutureGen is back on track, the recognition that it's important to the government. The government has used the word flagship program for FutureGen, which shows the government's commitment. We intend to leverage on that. As we recruit new members, we go ahead and get this plant built.
Is the term flagship, Mike, representative of the depth and breadth of the research going on in Mattoon, Illinois, or is it more a symbol of the public-private partnership that FutureGen represents?
I think it's both. I mean, first of all, it's advancing technology like no other project has ever advanced the technology. We're using first-of-a-kind, cutting-edge features that will advance carbon capture and sequestration technology. We're blazing the path towards the complications of trying to ensure you can safely inject CO2 into the geologic formations. So it is flagship from that end. But there's also a flagship in the fact that FutureGen has members that are on 6 of the continents throughout the world. The international participation of FutureGen, the fact that we're not for profit, the fact that we're out there not just to build a project, but to share data with the world, with the US, with India, with China, so that they can build these type of plants in the future. Those are the features that make this a flagship program.
So you're working towards something that would not necessarily be proprietary technology, despite the vast investment from all of these companies?
That is correct. The companies themselves, FutureGen is a non-for-profit, a 501c3. The companies that are willing to contribute $20 to $30 million each to this project recognize that they're doing this for goodness, to advance technology without the opportunity to get any financial return or the opportunity to gain any IP intellectual property for this project. The purpose is to get the experience, knowledge, and to spread that throughout industry so that we can replicate these plants as quickly as possible.
When you look at the research that has been done and is ongoing at places like Pleasant Prairie in Wisconsin, through EPRI and WE, among other entities, also the Mountaineer plant in West Virginia through AEP, as well as some other entities, is there any sense on your part that the private efforts without this partnership and public funding are making faster advances?
No, I don't think so. That these are very important projects, okay, but they're also on much smaller scale than FutureGen. FutureGen is the full-scale integrated gasification combined cycle project. It is advancing it in so many ways. And even these smaller projects too, as they scale up, they will be seeking federal funds to help to make it happen. These projects are too big for any one company to take on, which is why the government has programs like the Clean Coal Power Initiative and other cost-sharing programs, recognizing that at this early stage of development, you need the partnership between both industry and government to make these important projects happen.
The DOE announced this funding, Mike, along with kind of a vague stipulation in terms of what it expected by certain dates. And it said that by early 2010, it wants the rapid restart of preliminary design activities, also potential additional subsurface characterization, the storage aspect. Is that more complicated than it sounds?
Okay, well, that part is not complicated, but understand that part of the terms too is that while we do have a little bit over $1 billion from the Department of Energy, we also want to find a way to close a funding gap. There is some additional need to close the funding gap to fund this project. Right now we're looking at a project cost of a little bit under $2 billion. So therefore we have to find a way to bring that down with the cost share between industry and its members and the federal government, and to find a way to ensure the project is funded. So we're looking at means during this next year, from now to the end of the year, to reduce the cost while not forgetting the mission. The mission of FutureGen is to advance first-of-a-kind technology using carbon capture and sequestration in a unique way that's different from any other projects. Important part of the mission, same time, what can we do with the design, what can we do with the funding to ensure that by the end of the year we have a viable funding plan in place.
Mike, final question deals with that mission that you just mentioned, and I want to read one more portion of the DOE's announcement regarding that funding. And it says, quoting now, "The Department and the FutureGen Alliance will make a decision either to move forward or to discontinue the project in early 2010. Both parties agree a decision to move forward is the preferred outcome." Do you feel that you finally have the commitments on this partnership and the public aspect in this public-private team?
Yes, we have the commitments, but we also have the challenges that I mentioned. So once you have both parties committed to know it's important, and we've had wonderful meetings with the Department of Energy leadership who have worked with us and acknowledged how it's important and willing to work with us to make it happen, to increase the membership. So with that, it makes these challenges, although important challenges and difficult ones, manageable, that I'm sure we are going to be able to meet by the end of this year, so that early next year we announce that we've gone forward, we'll build a plant, sometime next year break ground and be the first plant in service that'll truly be an IGCC plant with carbon capture and sequestration.
Optimism abounds. Mike Mudd is CEO of the FutureGen Alliance. Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler Suiters, and you're watching Clean Skies News.